This series presents information based in part on theory and conjecture. The producer's purpose is to suggest some possible explanations, but not necessarily the only ones, to the mysteries we will examine. The ancient waters of Georgian Bay. Some call it the Sixth Great Lake. Well off the eastern shore of Manitoulin, sailors might happen upon a miserable rock called Lonely Island. There isn't much to look at here, other than an old lighthouse built on the island's highest point, warning sailors to keep their distance. The beacon casts its light into the dark abyss of the surrounding waters, but behind the tranquil scene lies a tale of tragedy and mystery that's haunted these shores for generations. Nowadays, the Lonely Island Light is fully automated. Maintained by the Coast Guard, this island is accessed by helicopter alone, and the public is actively discouraged from setting foot on it. That didn't stop a courageous old sea dog named Reggie and his trusty human from coming ashore in the summer of 2018, when they attained the best-known footage of the island to date.
Plan for today, gonna walk around the perimeter of Lonely Island. Hey bud, what do you think? You wanna go for a walk? Yeah, what a great little island to walk around. It's kind of like 75% walking on the worst cobblestone road that you've ever been on in your entire life. And 25% was probably the worst bushwhack through the thickest brush and scrub and whatever else is up there. It's pretty nice, actually. It's a fun way to spend the day.
The Lonely Island Light has stood sentinel over these treacherous waters for over a century, guiding sailors safely through the fog and darkness. But in the wake of a maritime tragedy, a set of harrowing events would soon unfold, with a creepy lightkeeper named Dominic Solomon at the center of it all. In 1882, a wooden steamship named the SS Asia sank off the island's east coast. Rough waters capsized the lifeboats, claiming the lives of over 100 passengers. A search party was eventually sent to the area, where they made land on Lonely Island and approached the lightkeeper. Solomon initially denied any knowledge of the sunken steamship, but eventually pointed them in the direction of some debris downshore. Among the wreckage, the body of a woman known only as Mrs. Woods was discovered. Her body was in the late stages of decay, face and eyes pecked away by waterfowl. Her torso seemingly held together by the tight binds of her corset. The searchers buried her to the best of their ability, placing as much of her as they could onto a flat rock, covering her in gravel and a sheet of plywood. It stands to reason that her remains never left that spot. But the work of the rescuers was far from over. Dark impressions around the hands and throat indicated that jewelry was torn from the cadaver. It was evident that the lightkeeper knew more than he was letting on. The leader of the party, a man by the name of Georges Baptiste, confronted Solomon about the stolen valuables. And it wasn't long before the hermit confessed to taking a pearl brooch, a gold ring, and several other effects from the corpse, sparking outrage and suspicion among the surrounding islanders. Rumors spread that Solomon had desecrated the corpse in even more unholy ways, performing sinful acts upon her rotting flesh. In his personal journal, the Frenchman wrote of his hopes that the swift arm of justice would hammer down upon the sole resident of Lonely Island. That swift arm, however, never arrived. Dominic Solomon was allowed to remain at his station until his resignation. Perhaps the locals decided it best he remain on Lonely Island, far away from any and all society. The story picks up again in 1993, when a group of fishermen swore that from their boat they saw what appeared to be a disheveled woman walking along the cobblestones of Lonely Island, clothing torn and bloody, seaweed clinging to her skin. Most disturbing of all was their claim that the woman didn't have a face, that the skin appeared to end where a visage would normally begin, and that all they saw was a patch of smoothed, polished bone. But with the crash of a wave and the sound of thunder in the distance, she disappeared. The fishermen, a superstitious lot, left immediately, never to return. So what's going on here? Skeptics believe the reports of Mrs. Wood's ghost to be nonsense, that the faceless being these men witnessed 30 years ago was simply a department store mannequin lost at sea. It's possible. But is it true? Could the spirit of this Mrs. Woods be damned to reside on this wretched rock until the end of time? Is it because of her unceremonious end, desecrated by the busy hands of Dominic Solomon, that she still stalks these shores in search of some release from her earthly tethers? And what can be done to finally bring peace to her immortal soul? Only time will tell. Thanks for watching. If you want to learn more about Lonely Island, check out Mad River Reggie's video on the right. This guy Jason is a legend. He paddled across the Great Lakes with his bare hands. And a paddle, I guess. So check him out.